And then randomly, I had a thought. Just how many sexual orientations are there? Because I feel like every day I hear about a new one. So I decided to conduct a Google search entitled, "How many sexual orientations are there?" And then the first two links caught my attention. Hey, Garota! So I decided to open them up. And when I read the first paragraph, I said, stream, it's time to stream this because I want to record a step by step, my reaction, my initial impression, my initial opinion on this matter. So I don't know how long this is going to take, but we are going to dive right into it. And the first website that I am visiting is called It's Pronounced Metrosexual.com. And if you would like to follow along with me, I have the links posted in the description. So, to help you make sense of the alphabet soup and be as respectful and accurate as possible when using identifying language. All right. So this list is neither comprehensive nor inviolable, but it's a work in progress toward those goals. Da 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 da. We are constantly honing and adjusting language to our humble goal. Resonate with at least 51 of 100 people. La da la da la da la. Metrosexual sounds like a drink at the bar. I know, right? It definitely doesn't sound like, hey, so while we're at it, what's your orientation? Metrosexual? Like, what even is that? I cannot wait to see what the definition is because I have looked it up before, but I simply do not retain it because it's not applicable for me. For me, I just, the way I grew up was I knew that there was the normal, recurring thing, what we consider normal or supposed to be normal, which is absolute straight. But then, of course, instances can happen when people decide to go out of the norm and explore, and then there's the gay stuff. Or maybe you have explored with the gay stuff, and then you realize that you like both things. So you're bi. So basically, straight, gay, bisexual. And for me, because of my upbringing, for me, accepting or seeing anything outside of straightism was absolutely frowned upon. But, anyways, so I'm going to sort of skim through this until I see what's relevant. And holy crap, my iPod is already not showing me the whole window. So let me, I should have used the computer for this. So let me get a little creative. Bear with me. I should have started the stream with a plan. But of course, stuff just sneaks up on me. Please open up. Okay. Okay, I see what the problem is. Okay, so there is androgynous, gender expression that has elements of both masculinity and femininity, occasionally used in place of intersex to describe a person with both female and male anatomy. So what's the difference between that and a hermaphrodite? I guess they use that term to say this person has both female and male traits, but they actually, what? I'm confused already. This is not gonna go well, guys, so just bear with me. Both feminine. The way I learned the term androgynous was the way, say that you like things of both genders. So one day you decide to wake up and you completely cross dress. That's an androgynous trait. It's not a sexual orientation. Like I wear guy clothes pretty often, like t-shirts especially. But does that make me like women? No. So yeah, I don't expect to walk out of here being savvy at all of this, but at least I can try to become familiar with stuff. No one cared about gay in the 80s or 90s. I just refused to learn 78 genders and all their pronouns. Exactly. And Cordy 2010 says, hello, hello. There are 78 genders. I know, right? So that's why I'm interested in this topic, and I am going to try to address it as respectfully androgynous. It has a G. It should be ANDROGYNOUS. So yeah, in the end of the day, if I sound like I'm trying to mock any of this, I'm not. I'm genuinely reacting to stuff as I read it. So I don't mean to be disrespectful with this topic. It's just that, just so you know, most of this stuff I don't understand it, and it's okay. There's a lot of things that we don't understand in the planet. So this is me just trying to learn along with you guys what this is about. Um, I hate that the window is not fully open. How can I fix that? Okay, I'm gonna try something one more time. Because this device is like so old, and this page is just too modern for it to bear. I used to know everything about how to fix views on an iPod. Now I just don't. um, okay. Because what's happening is it's cutting the first few letters. So anyways, I'm gonna read the ones that I can see. There's androsexual or androphilic, which is being primarily sexually, romantically, and or emotionally attracted to some men, males, and or masculinity. And for some reason, we have to say that you're attracted to some men. Why not all men? See what I mean? That's already confusing on its own. Aromantic. I hope there's not a letter missing. Experiencing little or no romantic attraction. Yeah, it's only aromantic. To others and or has a lack of interest in romantic relationships and behavior. A romanticism exists on a continuum. I've never known how to say that word. From people who experience no romantic attraction or have any desire for romantic activities. Those who experience low levels of romantic attraction, only specific conditions, and many of these different places have their own identity labels. See, demi-romantic or demi-romantic, sometimes abbreviated arrow, pronounced like arrow. Okay, arrow. So once again, if you are a romantic, you may not be interested in the relationship interests, like say dating, intercourse, all that good stuff. But just because you are not someone who enjoys dating, it does not make you a gay person. It does not make you, I guess it does not make you a straight person if you don't identify as straight. So why do we have to define that as a sexual orientation? There's people out there who, just because they do not feel a impulse to be dating someone or be engaging in sexual activity, it does not mean that they swing a specific way. It means that they can be perfectly straight, but they simply do not engage in those activities. So why do we have to label this as a sexual orientation? Eventually, these people tend to be interested in doing stuff. Like eventually, they may explore being intimate, and they do stuff, you know? So yeah, I'm already confused by this. And by the way, guys, just as a plan, in the event that my stream crashes, which it's already displaying the symptoms, I will immediately open a new one and we will continue. And I'll also stay as up to date with the comments just so that I get to reply to them while I'm still here, and not awkwardly in a different stream. Let's see. I am not mocking anyone either. They just lost me after cisgender. I don't identify. See, the thing of it is people may interpret our reactions as mockery, Garuda, because they are so hungry to be accepted and be just treated like this is the new norm, that some of these folks may feel uber sensitive about it, I guess. And that's just my opinion, of course. That's truly what I believe. But at the same time, if that's really who you are, just be confident about it. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Like, if that's who you want to be, just do it. But if you're looking for legal reform, you already got it. It's already legal to get married in this country, at least. And you can get hired, you can get employed. If you get discriminated against, that's illegal. So we should be able to have an open conversation about this without us straight people being attacked for it, for example. Because sometimes it feels like if you are straight and you have an opinion, it's like the whole community comes to get you. No, let us discuss our matters, our perception, in the same manner that you, as the individual experiencing these orientations, you have a right to speak, and we respect you. We listen to you. Listen to us too. I don't think it's that difficult. Besides, your existence is possible thanks to a couple who decided to go the expected route, if you want to call it that way. But yeah, you guys, don't be afraid to express yourself in however way you want to in the comments. I'm not going to try. I hope that any of you watching this, if you belong to this community, understand where I'm coming from. I will say words that maybe will sound like I'm being disrespectful or derogative, but I have to be able to put this into words somehow, and I am going to. So now, if you're actively flaming someone, then yeah, that may be a problem. But we need to be able to use our vocabulary and convey our feelings. A lot of this can be narrowed down to straight, gay, hermaphrodite, or cross dresser. Exactly. Honestly, that's all that I thought there was to the matter. Especially as a teenager, that's all that I thought about. I think they've taken to using queer as a catch-all term for not straight. And Gay Jerry says hello, hello. Or some people I know have, or asexual, aromantic, as the case may be. What does queer even mean? Is it a gay? I thought all this time that queer is another way of saying gay, but maybe a fancier term. I don't know. Something, I don't want to say classy, but anyways, asexual means the ability to reproduce by yourself. Yeah, and then aromantic, as the word says, is when you put the prefix a, that means no or without. Or does it mean against? I don't think it means against. Anti is against. But it is understood that if you reproduce a sound, need to perform the. I am so fed up with this. But it keeps kicking me out. But anyways, and wow, my face suddenly looks a whole lot bigger for some reason. Anyways, let me see what you guys were saying in the comments. Oh, I had no idea that I could actually zoom in or out from the screen. The more I know. Okay, let me see. Shorthand for I can't be bothered to explain. My brain would most likely go into sleep. Explain it. So queer where sexuality is, brain would most likely go into sleep. Explain it. So queer where sexuality is concerned basically means not straight. At least in the UK, can't speak. So then queer basically gay, but I might be gay. It means I'm not straight, be gay, bi, pan, whatever most people are gay say gay, but anything more complex to go with queer. Ollie, save us! Because I'm not getting any of this. Sexual just means asexual reproduction, the ability to reproduce without sex. Ollie, a word people use to identify one who might be gay or experiment with gay people. I'm not sure. I've heard people curious to describe that. There, in one of these links that I saved, there is a term called bi-curious. I cannot wait to get to that. Bi-curious. That has been defined as an orientation. Curious, non-binary. Exactly. And see, it's me about modern days. There's the binary stuff. Why do you not get that? I mean, why make it complicated? Just why? Why? Not really. That's more gender alignment than sexual orientation. One is what you are or feel like, and the other is what you like, if that makes sense. So, me, why not say there are sexual orientations that you can have? Let's say gay, straight, bi, or shoot, let's throw hermaphrodite in there just because. And then those are orientations. Why can you not say sexual behavior is aromantic or whatever else? That would make more sense to me. Because, say, when it comes to gender and sex, there is only two. Unless something happens to where you're born with characteristics of both, which there's a term for that, which is hermaphrodite. So once you identify your orientation, you may identify your behavior. Because, for instance, I know guys who they like women, but they may not necessarily be wild about sex, and vice versa. There are females out there who are straight, they like guys, but they do not enjoy being sexually active. Why do you have to call that an orientation? It's already defined that this person is straight. They are attracted to what's opposite to them. Why not say that? You know, my sexual conduct, my sexual behavior is that I don't mess with intercourse or something like that. Or I don't like the romantic aspect of dating. That would be so much easier and so much clearer than trying to create this debate about there being 78 different sexes or orientations. But then again, gender is a role. So I guess they're already on it and I'm just phrasing it differently. But for people who interpret things similar to me, that's why we end up confused. Because you're trying to give it a whole new definition. So, but anyways. La 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 la. Let's see. Cis male here, but I have a few fair friends in those circles. It can be pretty confusing. I've had to check with people a fair few times. And see, the cisgender term too. Why is that even necessary? Why do you have to say cisgenders? I didn't know what cisgender was until like 2017 or 2016, something like that. Which I guess would be what applies to me. Doesn't that just mean straight? But here you go. You're giving it a complete new term when all you have to do is say, if I'm a girl, I like men. If you're a guy, you like women. That's it. I am straight but not cis. I don't identify. Bi curious means almost gay to me. Yeah, I get. Bi curious for me, the impression it gives me is I am curious to try something outside of what I am naturally drawn to and am accustomed to. But that does not make you bisexual. You have not established yet that you like the same sex. You are about to find out. Once you quench that curiosity, then you determine whether you want to continue being straight or absolutely say bi, or maybe your bi experience will lead you to gravitate more toward being gay. That's the impression it gives me. Bi curious must have been it. That sounds to me like I might not be straight, but I'm not sure yet. I feel bad for hermaphrodites. I could never walk in their shoes. To be born like that makes me cry. So basically, bi curious to both sexes, but it means not being sure. I'm not sure what it is like. Maybe it takes some time to figure out. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the little list and see what else I can find. Asexuality is different from celibacy in that it's sexual orientation, whereas celibacy is an abstaining from certain action. Not all asexual people are aromantic. That sort of makes sense. Because, see, the thing of it is, why would you go through the trouble of dating someone when, to me, dating is the process of you finding out someone, finding a mate, getting to know them, so that maybe the mating process can progress, or the relationship can progress into that. Why do we have to call it all this complicated shit? Asexual experiencing little or no sexual attraction to others and a lack of interest in sexual relationships behavior. Asexuality exists on a continuum from people who experience no sexual attraction or have any desire for sex to those who experience low levels or sexual attraction under specific conditions, and many of the differences of the different places in the continuum have their own identity labels. Demisexual. Yeah, it's not making any more sense to me. There's the bigender, a person who fluctuates between traditionally woman and man gender based behavior and identities identifying with both genders. Fucking what? Bi-curious. Here's our word, guys. A curiosity about having attraction to people of the same gender sex, similar to questioning. I think I gave it a better definition, don't you think? Biological sex. Uh-huh. This is where it's going to get interesting. A medical term used to refer to the chromosomal, hormonal, and anatomical characteristics that are used to classify an individual as female or male or intersex, often referred to as simply sex, physical sex, anatomical sex, or specifically as sex assigned at birth. And there's a footnote, and it goes, often seen as a binary, but as there are many combinations of chromosomes, hormones, and primary, secondary sex characteristics, it's more accurate to view this as a spectrum, which is more inclusive of intersex people as well as trans identified people. It is commonly conflated with gender. So to me, biological sex should be a pretty safe indicator of what your sexual orientation should be. But as we all know, that's not necessarily the case. There are still only two sexes, and I agree. What is normal is for there to be two sexes. Because without two sexes, humans cannot be what they are. You cannot be conceived, you cannot be born, you cannot be created. So that's why I am saying, in order for you to come into existence and be human, there needs to be the binary stuff. There needs to be the two sexes stuff. Once you are alive, if you decide that you want to conduct your life in a different manner, then that's a complete different story. But to say that it is wrong for us to establish your label biologically, that's what gets me. I feel like these individuals try to express themselves as we are the problem. And I'm like, no, not at all. What happens is that me as Zamri, I am interested in a relationship that I can build up so that eventually I can conceive. Because I was born a girl, it is my duty to find me a male so I can get to conceiving. Because I want to do this in a completely natural way. And I just so happen to exist liking men. I already like men. I didn't have to figure that out. I didn't have to be curious. I didn't have to experiment. I have known all this time what I want and what I like. So, because that is my default mindset, I'm not interested in anything else. So, I guess when I read the definition and I try to break it down in my mind, that's what I can conclude. But honestly, I think that is the correct definition of them all, which is there's only two. But what you choose to do with the one that you are born with, that's your business. But to try to say that the rest of us need to flow with that is kind of weird. Or otherwise, it's kind of weird to me. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Hermaphrodites are two types of different human beings. Yeah, because for me, when you are trans, you're trying to say that you may feel like you're not able to live a full life because of how you were born, whereas a hermaphrodite experienced imbalances while developing to where it did not get its sex assigned entirely. It ended up with both female and male traits. In a situation like that, unless the child's life is in danger, I think we should study their behavior or wait for them to express what they want to be. Do you want to be female or do you want to be male? Because clearly, this person on a genetic level has this recurring. So I would imagine that one of the traits is going to overpower the other. In that situation, we settle for whatever that person individually says. Um, but when it comes to hermaphroditism, I hope that's a word, um, that does not happen very often in nature. There may be the several hundred cases, but in the grand scheme of human civilization, the billions of us that there are, it happens fairly rarely. So that's why I'm saying if you are born physically to where we are able to perceive that there is a conflict going on within you, that's when we can be like, okay, we need to assign your sex for good. But once you are born and you're developed and you clearly appear as male because of what you possess physically, and I appear as female because of how I appear physically, if I am a female and I get together with a male, it is possible to create new life. Whereas as a transgender person, if you are male trying to be female and we get together, it is possible for you to still get me pregnant, even though you feel female inside of you. Your biological makeup is you are male. So you are producing sex cells corresponding to males that when they mix with female sex cells, a new life is possible to be created. Because that, by natural terms, is what is correct. It's correct for a male to be with a female so that life can be made. That's the whole purpose of the DNA sequences being the way that they are. But anyways, like I always say, I'm not a doctor. I don't know about this. This is just my opinion. This is just me going by the little bit of science that I know. So that's just my opinion. But I'm not trying to be rude to anybody. Biphobia? Is that the word? I can't see it. Yeah, biphobia. A range of negative attitudes, fear, anger, intolerance, invisibility, resentment, erasure, or discomfort that one may have or express towards bisexual individuals. Biphobia can come from and be seen within the LGBTQ community as well as straight society. Biphobic is a word used to describe an individual who harbors some elements of this range of negative attitudes toward bisexual people. So you can be a member of the LGBTQ plus BZDEFG, and you within that community there's like resentment. See what I mean? That's crazy to me. I don't. I don't get it. Example of bi invisibility. Why is there a different word? And bi erasure would be the assumption that any man in a relationship with a woman is straight, or anyone dating someone of the same gender means you're gay. In neither case do we assume anyone could be bisexual. Really important to recognize that many of our stereotypes of bisexual people, they're overly sexual, greedy, it's just a phase, or have harmful and stigmatizing effects, and gay, straight, and many other queer individuals harbor these feelings too. See, the thing of it is that when you see a straight couple, the logical conclusion is that you are straight. So if we commit a mistake of saying, okay, within this relationship, there's actually someone who is bisexual, how are we supposed to figure that out? If you see me and I'm with my boyfriend, you can safely assume that both of us are straight and we're together. But if I happen to be with a guy who is bi, I would be uncomfortable with that. So I would be like, I don't feel like I want to compete against a man for you. So you need to figure that out on your own. But I don't want to be involved in that type of situation. And then if we want to think more crazy about this, not only am I competing against women, but I'm also competing against males. What? I only want to worry about you cheating on me with a woman. Okay. Hopefully I'm better now. But yeah. What a bummer. This is a great topic, but for some reason, mine just cannot handle it. um, I am happy to just let people do what they are comfortable with. If that's ever an issue, it won't be me who makes it one. Exactly. I feel like straight people are not really making an issue. We want the topic, but for some reason we get accused of being in for some reason. But I don't know. If two trans people date, are they straight? Oh, I am so glad that you asked that because I have the same question. And for me, it would yes, long as they are the inverse, like a trans man dating a trans woman. That should be a relationship because the opposite, which is what straight are both just mentally. Morgan says I can relate to probably call myself that if it was an actual word and not a Tumblr word. I did not even notice the misspelling of Tumblr in that first round. Well, that's interesting. When it comes to that, I cannot imagine that just because I have what I am, who I am, what I like, what I don't like. So I think it's ridiculous that people conflate gender and personality. Yeah, it's confusing. I just don't know why we need to make life so complicated. Okay, bisexual. A person who is emotionally, physically, and or sexually attracted to males, men, and females, women. A person who is emotionally, physically, and or sexually attracted to people of their gender and other gender. This attraction does not have to be equally split or indicate a level of interest that is the same across the genders or sexes. An individual may be attracted to can simply be shortened to bi. Many people who recognize the limitations of binary understanding of gender may still use the word bisexual as their sexual orientation label. This is often because many people are familiar with the term bisexual, while less are familiar to the term pansexual. Which pansexual, I read about it back in the spring, maybe because someone identified themselves as that, someone famous, and I'm like, what? So I cannot wait to get to that to read about it. Your biological sex is unchangeable. Every cell in your body is either male or female. If you feel like a woman as a man, that's a personality, not your physical makeup. Exactly. I have to agree with that. And the reason I say I have to agree with that is because no amount of therapy, hormone injection, whatever, can overpower that. That's why no matter how good your surgery is, you end up not looking right or not sounding right. Or what I mean by that is that we can tell that something about you is off. Because your body, I think what's happening is your body knows what it is. Let's say that your body is a perfect creation by nature. Of course, you are a flawed being, but when it comes to your genetic sequence, unless you are born a hermaphrodite to where a mistake somewhere in your DNA sequence took place, or a mutation, whatever you want to call it, then all right, that's different. But if you were clearly developing and developed 100% male and you're trying to become female, your body knows what it's supposed to be producing, how it's supposed to be manifesting itself. So when you start introducing these other agents that don't belong there, your body already laid itself out. Like once you are an adult, you have the broad shoulders of a guy, you have the muscle mass of a guy. To start introducing female stuff into you, you cannot undo what you have already developed into. And if you try to alter that, it's going to look weird. It's like you write with a pencil really, really dark and you try to erase and you have smudges. You can tell that there was a mark there. So in your body, you can tell that the mark of male is there and you're trying to undo it. But the mark is very like severe. So it's hard to erase that and alter that and clean it entirely. You literally would need to be born again to be, and hopefully you're born into like the sex that you wanted. I mean, again, I'm not saying that's absolutely right. but I'm guiding by what I believe to know and understand about biology. But anyways, let's see. There is a but. A person who identifies themselves as masculine, whether it be physically, mentally, or emotionally, but is sometimes used as a derogatory term for lesbians, but is also claimed as an affirmative identity label. To me, a but is what I say sometimes in place of bitch, so that I don't get, like flagged or something, or get in trouble, written up for cursing or something. But why does that term need to exist? If a guy is all that, you say the guy is masculine. The guy is whatever. What else did it say? Masculine, whether it be physically, emotionally. Yeah, like you're masculine. What's wrong with using the word masculine? Why do you have to say, you know what? My sexual orientation is I am a butt. It's understood that you're a butt if you're a dude. Because you're a male, you're masculine. You're going to have masculine traits. Why do we need to give you a special term to describe that? Or do I just not know how to read or how to interpret that? But to me, that is unnecessary. All right, guys, here we go. Cisgender. A person whose gender identity and biological sex assigned at birth align. A man and assigned male at birth. A simple way to think about it is if a person is not transgender, they are cisgender. The word cisgender can also be shortened to cis. Cis is the Latin prefix that means on the same side as or on the side of. In other words, straight. Because if you are manifesting yourself as what your biological sex is, then why do you need to give it a cisgender term? Seriously. There are archetypical masculine and feminine words and descriptors already. Exactly. Why do we need to come up with these and be like, if you don't reference those specific terms, you are the problem. You are oppressive. You are offensive, or whatever the fuck. There is cissexism. Behavior that grants preferential treatment to cisgender people reinforces the idea that being cisgender is somehow better or more right than being transgender and or makes other genders invisible. Cissexism makes sense in the sense that I know that you guys like to say that humans are not in danger of becoming extinct because there's a lot of straight couples still pumping babies, right? But at the same time, of course, that stuff is seen as preferential because when governments were being founded, when countries were being made, whatever, most of the legal recognitions and whatnot were developed assuming that a grand percentage of the population would follow the traditional aspect of reproduction and the one that would yield the intended result when you attempt intercourse, which is produce offspring. So, of course, there's going to be cis sexism to where being straight is what's looked at as superior because it is what yields the intended result. I mean, it's not right for, let's say, cisgender people, straight people, to be disrespectful of individuals who behave differently, but at the same time it's not right for you to be bullying straight people for being straight because sometimes it does feel like you're picking on straight people just because they decide to stick to what's seemingly naturally the default. But anyways, again, just my opinion. I'm not claiming to know everything and understand everything, but But godly. Garuda says, I am not a cisgender. I don't identify as that either. I just say I'm a girl and I like guys. So I'm straight. It's weird that I live in a time where I have to express that. So yeah, guys, don't be afraid to come out for me. Or come for me. Come at me, bro. Well, being that a transsexual is medically disabled, otherwise insurance wouldn't pay for the operation, there is a preference for people who are stable. See, on the note of insurance, for you to be given gender reassignment, why do we need to be compelled to consider that a medical situation? No, I think a medical situation, medical treatment should be for something that puts your life in danger. Like you need to treat a pneumonia because a pneumonia can kill you. You need to treat STDs because STDs can have terrible consequences and kill you. When I hear medical treatment, I associate it with you are being, your life is being saved. But if you have gender reassignment, how is your life in danger when, if you are a male and you are developing physically as a male, you're not sick. Just because you are male, you are sick. Just in the same manner that me being female doesn't mean that I'm sick. Or when I get pregnant, it doesn't mean that I'm sick. I get sick like symptoms, but being pregnant is not a disease. So, because of those symptoms, I am entitled to medical care when I do get pregnant. Because otherwise, if some of those are not kept at bay, my life can be in danger. That's what medicine does. Medicine cures you. Medical treatment does that. It treats you so that you can feel better. But gender reassignment to me is not a medical emergency. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Big Jam says hello, hello. I only show comparison and empathy to hermaphrodites. I am not a cisgender. Do that I call the child gay for touching me? I mean, I would say be careful about how you address them and be like, you're doing is not right. You cannot just go up to people and touch them anywhere that you desire. But to just call him, straight up gay, I can see how that can be a little damaging. So I would say refrain from labeling that child unless you know. So, but anyways, and Big Jam is just a troll. I know he's being a troll. But there, I just decided to just put that out there. Hitler did nothing wrong. That's debatable. Transsexuality is an ideology. I tried to stop them from going under the knife and stop them from getting neutered. Big Jam is just a troll. Block or ignore. Let's see. Shoot, I don't know what to do, but anyways, yeah, I guess we skip over whatever's not relevant to the topic. Okay, there is the term cisnormativity. The assumption in individuals or institutions that everyone is cisgender and that cisgender identities are superior to trans identities or people leads to invisibly of non-cisgender identities. Again, what is the problem? What is the problem with that? I don't get it. While I don't see gender as social construction, I I prefer just male or female. Honestly, because it's what's right. Um, that's what I was into. And then there were more than two sexes. Why a transgender person assign their gender into a already exists? Like a male and become female. Why would I want to be a dog? What I'm trying to convey there is you are something that's already binary. You are raised to something that's binary. See what I mean? So, but anyways, let me see. If you have a functional sex organ and the doctor recommends chopping up your loins, you should rethink. Female refers to your genetic makeup. Until our DNA diversifies, we shouldn't start trying to muddy the science. I agree with that. Because a lot of the times when we start tempering stuff on the genetic level, we create abominations. I don't care, trans people call me a cis, but I don't identify. I am simple, just a male. And I am just a female. Um, Closeted. An individual who is not open to themselves or others about their, in parentheses, queer sexuality or gender identity. This may be by choice and or for other reasons such as fear for one's safety, peer or family rejection, or disapproval and or loss of housing, job, etc. Again, at least as far as I'm concerned, um, it is illegal to be fired based on that because that's protected under the anti-discrimination law, whatever it's called. Also known as being in the closet. When someone chooses to break the silence, they come out of the closet. See, coming out. Coming out. The process by which one accepts and or comes to identify one's own sexuality or gender identity to come out to oneself. The process by which one shares one's sexuality or gender identity with others to come out to friends, etc. This is a continual, lifelong process. Every day, all the time, one has to evaluate and reevaluate who they are comfortable coming out to, if it is safe, and what the consequences might be. Again, at least in this country, modern days, there's a lot of protection for these individuals. It's illegal to discriminate against you based on sex or orientation. So, what's your fear, really? If you end up losing your friends, I'm sure there's people out there who would be happy to have you as a friend. Are you a good person? Are you a quality individual? Or do you like to be someone who gossips? There's people out there who gravitate toward other people who gossip. I'm not particularly a gossiper myself, so I cannot say that I would be drawn to someone just because they have the latest gossip, but there's someone out there who would be interested in picking up on your friendship. You have to go out there and get them. They're not just going to show up at your door and ask for you. So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If you look up the word gender, they only have male and female, so I don't see where there is more than two gender. I don't even like the word bi. You are either straight or gay. With the word bi, I can understand that, but I see what you're saying. Because let's say that I am a bi person. If I decide to get in a relationship with a woman, I am engaging in lesbianism. So, but the word bi is necessary because I feel like if I identify myself straight up as a lesbian, I am trying to convey that I have zero interest in men. Whereas if I identify myself as bi, that also lets the men know that I am interested in them as well. But I can see why, um, if you're bi and you're already in a lesbian or homosexual relationship, I should say, then yeah. but I don't know. I don't know. It's yeah. It takes some thinking, I guess. There's this third gender thing I think is made up. As a wheelchair guy, I can personally attest just because discrimination is illegal doesn't mean people won't do it. See, the thing of it in a situation like that is, and I'm glad you bring that up. If you suspect that you are not being hired because of those things, how can you prove it? Like, very obviously, if you, Ollie, as a guy who's wheelchair bound, if you do not get hired as a, say, as a receiver in a company, I understand it is because that job requires a lot of standing and it's very physically demanding. But at the same time, I would expect that when you read the job description, you would not bother to apply for a position that you know you would be automatically rejected from based on. But when you get rejected often from places where it could be a desk type of job to where you can be sitting down all the time, clearly if you have the skills and you have a good resume, you should be hired. But at the same time, consider if there is anything on the side that is expected of you beyond the job description. And what I mean by that is, when I got hired at my current job, I was hired as a cashier. But nowadays, I do more than just cashiering. So, whatever the job description was for cashiering, it has some stuff on the side that you don't realize until you get hired. So maybe these people are not being transparent with you and they're not disclosing the fact that there may be a physical side to the job and they're just not telling you about it. Um, but if you really, really are absolutely confident that you get turned down to from a position that you perfectly can perform the job and being in a wheelchair does not limit you, then I would encourage you to look into that and take some steps because you need a job. It is important that you have a job. Um, yeah, that's what I would do. I know it's complicated. It's easy for me to talk about it from a third person point of view as someone who's able bodied, but yeah, that's what I feel compelled to think. Let's. I agree that we shouldn't discriminate about someone's choice in a life partner. However, if your choice affects how you interact with others, who are you to say they cannot one is judged all the time? Exactly. So that's why when I get here in the channel and I start talking, I am ready for anything. Um, when it comes to appearance, how I sound, how I express myself. Because when you're in public, you need to be prepared to be confronted about anything or to be criticized, especially if you're a public speaker. So if you do something that is not understood or it is considered abnormal, you have to be ready to be confronted for that, to be engaged about that, as opposed to just having an attitude about it. See what I mean? But anyways, shoot, I lost my place on the list. Let me find it. I think I'm gonna conclude this at some point. There is so much, so I'm gonna have to break this up into maybe like 3 or 4 streams because we're already an hour into this and there is a whole lot more going on. Let's see. I stopped that velocity. Oh my god, there is something about stars coming up, or what's supposed to be about stars. Um, let's see. What are you guys saying? Sexuality, you like what you like with that. If a girl tells me she is bi, all I heard, I am a gay girl, but I still like the D. I can see that. I can see why you would feel that way. It's only illegal for a corporation, not individuals. Know if a person is gay unless they walk into an interview with a shirt saying, I am gay accepted. They mean it more as, oh, once I started working and word of my orientation came out, I experienced a different treatment coming from those who are involved in the corporation. But for me, when it comes to socializing, those intimate details about me as a person are not what I am venting about. It is not what I am conversing about. A lot of people thought for the longest time that I was a lesbian just because I would never talk about liking guys or boys or say, oh, that guy right there is so hot, he's so handsome, oh my god, this and that. I keep that to myself. I don't need to be divulging or airing that stuff. See what I mean? I guess you could say I'm very closeted when it comes to my opinions and feelings. But of course, here in the channel, because one of my favorite topics is relationships, it's obvious that I have to make myself clear and be like, okay, I am a straight girl and I am in a relationship with a guy, blah, 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 blah. But, but it's, I cannot wrap my head around all of this. I mean, I feel like this is problems that my grandparents didn't have to deal with. See what I mean? This is stuff that's being created by society in the present. I don't know. People just need something to be mad about. Okay, constellation. A way to describe the arrangement or structure of a polyamorous relationship. I can see that, but just be like, hey, I engage in polyamory. Cross dresser. Someone who wears clothes of another gender or sex. That's obvious, simple, it's old. But why does that need to be called a sexual orientation? I don't know. Because, like I said earlier, I cross dress. I wear guy clothes from time to time. I don't feel any different. I'm still Zam. I'm still the same silly person who doesn't take life seriously, straight female. Why do you need to label me as a cross dresser? It's like, guys, because I am wearing an outfit from the men's section of the store, I am cross dressing. I'm no longer straight. I'm no longer cis. That's fucking absurd. Do I have to identify myself as a straight cross dresser or a cisgender cross dresser? Now, nowadays, because of some individuals' appearances, it is often associated that you looking a certain way can give off the hint that you may be gay. Like, for instance, pixie cuts and maybe oversized baggy clothing. That's nowadays looked as synonym of being a lesbian. And the reason I say that is because when I go on social media and I look at people's profiles who identify themselves as lesbians, that's usually what they look like. But I don't feel compelled to be like, you know, I wear men's clothes, but I'm totally straight. You know that I'm straight. You either know me personally or based on how I act, you know. I mean, good God. Just put this to rest. Do your business. Mind your business. And, whatever. Just, ugh. Oh my God. Let's see, where am I at? Of gay, the flamboyant gay that makes everything about their sexuality. I know exactly who you're talking about. And the ones that are chill but gay in their personal space, I've had several gay friends I didn't even know. Yes, I have had people who I know who are on those ends of the spectrum. So you phrased that beautifully, Night, because I knew someone who I actually happened to have a thing for, and then I discovered that they were not remotely, I did not have any chances, so it was like a tough pill to swallow, but I got over it. And then there was my other friend who was absolutely, like his mannerisms were what is associated commonly with gay mannerisms. And I am saying that with a lot of respect and care because mannerisms do not have to be an indicator of orientation, they happen to be incidental. But there is the guys who like to wear like the bright colors and their hair a certain way, and then they're like, whatever. La, 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 la. They seem to have like the same accent. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Please tell me you know what I'm talking about. They almost sound like me, to tell you the truth. But anyways, let's see. Where am I at? We are gay, and didn't care when I found out because into a flamboyant. So true. I still wonder if some of my friends are gay. I am the same. Most dudes don't see me around females because I don't talk about my sex life. And you see, um, when it comes to the gay stuff and finding out that someone is gay, I once Googled, this is when I was a teen, how to tell if someone is gay. And of course, it said there's no way to just tell. You have to know through this person or ask them, or they happen to reveal it indirectly. Now, if you ask someone, hey, bruh, you gay? The person is going to become defensive most of the time. How can we have an open conversation about this? If we are genuinely confused by you, how can we ask you? Because, like, my current bestest friend, one time I told him, you know what? I kind of considered that you might have been gay. And then he was like, don't worry. You're not the first person to think that I am gay. Even my father thought that I was gay because I liked wrestling. And, guys wearing tight stuff, it was weird. And sorry, I forgot what else he said about him being associated with being gay. Oh, and girlfriends were not a frequent thing for him. And I'm like, the reason why I thought you were gay was because I don't honestly know. But I never asked this person, dude, are you gay or whatnot? He gave me the information that he was straight by telling me in my past relationships, there were these two girls, there was this one girl, and this girl who I messed with, this girl who nothing happened with her. You know? So I'm like, okay, this guy cleared up my confusion by supplying personal information. But how can you even safely have this conversation? Most of these people say, you just need to know, you just need to ask or something. But when you try to ask, they get defensive. No one wants to be with someone who's going to be defensive about it. I don't want to be in a conversation where I have to be fearful and uncomfortable and just second guessing what I do or say. So, no, you are not encouraging for us to have the conversation because usually you will have a bad attitude about it. So, yeah, but anyways, that's just what I have observed. But yeah, there's no way of telling that someone is gay just by looking at them. And then when you have an overly sweet guy who hangs out with girls, you may think that he is maybe gay because guys are usually associated with being like rowdy and I don't know, just masculine, rough. What are masculine traits? Let's put it that way. And then when you see a guy who is like soft spoken and sweet and compliments you, I'm not saying that straight guys don't do that, but they tend to be a little more shy and reserved about it. Whereas if you meet a guy who doesn't have any problems expressing that, I think that's what made me think that this one guy who I just talked about was gay, but he's not gay. Sorry, I'm just, my mind is all over the, so much to explore with this topic. Um, so true. I still wonder what are some of my friends are gay. I am the same. Most dudes don't see me around females because, okay, I just read that. Guy clothes are for everyone's. They're just so comfortable. Oh, tell me about it. The best thing about guy clothes is that when the winter rolls around, because they are bigger, I can wear lots of layers and feel like a loaded ass burrito and my ass be warm. Whereas females, for some reason, do not believe in layering up for the most part, or they believe in wearing very, very thin jackets. And I'm like, I want to be able to rely on my bones and my legs to keep me standing, so I'm not going to mistreat my body during my youth by exposing it to the elements because I decide to be an idiot about what I wear. So, yep. I used to wear mom's clothing as a kid because it was funny and I was trolling her. I am not cross dresser. I refuse to wear pink unless it's breast cancer awareness. And wasn't pink a color that was associated with males at some point in history? I feel like I read about that a long time ago. I guess lighter baby colors like sky blue could be considered a female color, although blue is normally associated with being a male color. But, anyways, I would date a gay bi girl, I just cannot marry them. I cannot date someone gay or bi, period. I'm not comfortable with that. Um, because you guys know my opinion on becoming intimate. I would like for whomever I end up with, I would like for them to have very, very few partners from their past, you know? Because that's what I'm trying to do. And every time that I break up with a guy, sometimes it takes me a long time to break up with a guy who's clearly not right for me because it is so important for me to not have so many partners. But of course, I know that experience is necessary. But each breakup it hurt me profoundly because I felt like I was just failing my own values. But to know that this person has messed with both, there's also a higher risk for disease. And I absolutely take care of myself as best as I can. So I don't want to be like, honey, when was the last time that you tested yourself for this and that? I have never had to ask anyone who I have dated that. So I don't even feel comfortable asking that question. I don't think they would either. Um, let's see, where am I at? So then you're talking about a metrosexual male. Oh my god, I need to read that definition. I don't ask other men if they're gay. I don't want a fist fight to happen. I do try to bait them into admitting they are gay. When people ask me if I'm gay, I am ready to fight. So I guess you're a representative of what I just said about when you ask someone about their orientation, they get offended. You have a right to be offended, but at the same time, if you're someone who doesn't make it very easy to determine what you are, you shouldn't get defensive. You should just clarify it. The person has a genuine concern and confusion. Just clarify it. Um, if you date gay men, you have uh, radically increased the chance of contracting. Exactly. The one reason I used to wear my mom's clothing is that she dressed me in pink as a baby. She has photos, so I was like, time to troll her. I always get tested if I have no rubber, no glove, no love. Oh man. But it's good that you get tested because anything can happen. Um, let's see. Oh my god. Oh, there's the drag queen, drag king terms as well. Guys, I have terrible news. Even though my stream is cooperating right now, to be honest with you, I need to eat because I'm hungry as hell. So I am going to do that and I am going to mark my stopping place. And I'm not sure when, maybe today again, or maybe tomorrow, or maybe the next day. At some point, we will go through both articles and see how they compare, see how they contrast, because one of them started with it's important for you to know this. And I'm like, no, I disagree, kind of. But anyways, this was a great topic. I'm glad that we are finally officially discussing this topic because it used to just creep up in other streams and I wanted to ramble about it, but it deserves its own topic for easy reference and quick access. But yeah. So yeah, we will catch up on this at another time. I am not a drag queen though. It was just me trolling my mom as a kid. I stopped a long time ago. I see. I'm not going to. I don't even know what you look like, Garuda, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm not imagining a guy deliberately dressing as pink now just to troll their mother. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.